Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cassandra. I'm the Prosperous Heart, and I am a strategic execution professional who comes from the software engineering side of things. I am passionate about, well, I also have done digital marketing, but in today's video, I'm specifically speaking to those who are in software engineering, project management, things like that. I am passionate about empowering others for success by being the bridge and breaking tech down into easy to understand bite-sized pieces. So I have a question for you. Have you ever wished for a bridge to take what a stakeholder has been telling you and what they want and convert it into deliverables that you and your team can provide? What if you had a framework that you could templatize and provide a way to build a roadmap that your stakeholders would happily sign off on? Doesn't that sound pretty awesome? Well, defining your project's goals and boundaries are like having a compass that will guide you towards success. It helps foster teamwork, align everyone involved, and sets clear expectations right from the start. By creating that clear foundation, excuse me, by creating a foundation for clear communication and strategic planning, you can avoid misunderstandings and some seriously costly mistakes. So if that sounds interesting to you, then keep watching. I am currently in the middle of a class as part of Cornell's systems design certification course, and I wanted to share something that I've been learning. And I'm actually in the middle of doing homework right now, so I thought I would take you through this process to kind of give you a taste of what this is. And if you like what you see, you want to learn more, please reach out to me. I would love to share with you what I know, give you any free resources that I can. And if you're interested, I can share with you my monthly coaching program. But regardless, I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I'm learning today as part of that systems design certification with Cornell. So, sorry, looking at my notes here. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. So what you see on the screen right here is actually an example of what I'm going to be talking with you today, but I wanted to bring your attention specifically to my description of a project. So I kind of went over this in a prior video, but basically what you're seeing here is my scoping documentation for a personal project that I am building, an open source project, gardeners and those who are in community gardens. So this is the description of the project, and more on this later. But basically, I've gone through and I've built things like my general user context diagram. I have built things like my general user scope tree. I've done a lot of prep work, and now I'm in, like I said, the systems design second course. I think it's design requirements, and I am going through that right now. So I have created these things, and from here, I have also created a use case list where if you come over, where is my use case list? Oh, sorry, use cases are up here. Oh, it looks like I'm missing parts of my document. I will fix that later. But basically, I have also gone through and gotten like the top 10 of those use cases that I wanted to work through. And that's kind of what I'm doing for my homework. We only have to do one, but I'm not only am I an overachiever, but I also want to make sure I understand the material and I stretch myself, and it gives me more opportunity and experience with which to become familiar with it so that I can teach my students in a more efficient way because I like being efficient. All right, so these are the top 10 things, and we are going to cover in today's video just one of these right now. So I've already done searches for information on a plant. So if we go to that one under general user actions plant search, you'll see that I have this design. This is part of what Cornell has provided. They gave it in an Excel format, but I'm using the table formatting within Doc. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a similar process, because this is really sharp. This is very clean. I like how they put it together. So you have your use case name. In this particular instance, I have general user searches for plant. Initial conditions, these are the things that is expected to be required at this point to go through this. So for example, the user has the access to be able to search for this plant. So in my head, I have like this app in my head, like there's a little search icon, like a little magnifying glass and a little leaf or something. I'm not sure, but some way to say, hey, this is your search feature. And so they'll click on that and it'll be, a list of plants that you can search by name and you can filter and do all that stuff. So that is this particular piece, this is a use case of a single facet of that component. And it is just searching for a plant. I also have one that's filtering, that's different. So searching for a plant, they have access to it. So that's a condition. And the user accesses the plant search function by choosing, like I said, what I just said. So the primary actor generally is the initiating trigger. And so it's usually your end user. So in this instance, system user opens the plant search function or page. Whatever it looks like, in result, it may be something else. So you want to try and be very general with some of these things. You don't want to limit your imagination. So the system user goes to the place in which that they would search for the plant. The system, as you can see in this column, opens the plant search function page, right? It brings it to their visual space, their ability to interact. User types into the plant name search field what they're searching for. The system shall filter out all plants that do not at least partially match the search term. And if no plants in the database match that search criteria, it shall provide a clear message about this to the user. At some point, I'll have a module where they can say, hey, you need to add in this plant, but we'll get there. Ending conditions, these are the things that are, hey, once this interaction has completed, what is going on? So number one, the system has provided a paginated, however you want to pronounce it, list of plants that the user can choose from to learn more about, which comes in later with the plant view. User may select a plant to learn more about it and engage the plant view. So those are the conditions. That's what's happening after that process has completed. So some notes, again, search is intended for plant name, not description or characteristics. Maybe in the future that could be something, but the intention is that the search is just for the plant name. Filtering would allow for characteristics such as it's in the whatever plant family, or it is a winter crop, or what it's a green plant. There's a lot of green plants out there, but you kind of get the idea. And then when chosen, like when they select that particular plant, it would open up blah blah blah. So this is actually another use case, but you do want to have notes in there so that way it's very clear to whoever may come to your scoping documentation what it is that you're expecting, what goes in, what goes out, right, and all that good stuff. So I've already done the plant search. I have not done the feedback error. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to be walking through with you today. So in my documentation, I like to make things easy for myself. And I have found over my career that a lot of times what I think is going to be done only once or twice usually ends up being repeated and therefore repetitive and thus needing a template. So I have created a template. This is called a use case behavior diagram, I believe. And so I just kind of made it here so I can easily come back to it. I'll copy it, and then I'll come back over into general user actions. So from here, I will add in the name of this particular action, which is going to be gives feedback or reports error. This is a heading 3. No, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's heading 3. If you are someone who works in Microsoft, this would be great to like have it all line up like it's supposed to. Thanks. But yes, so gives feedback or reports errors. That's the name of this particular section. So use case name to make it clear. General user reports issue or improvement idea. Very clear, very simple. So initial conditions. General user has run into an issue with the system or has an idea on how to improve it. Second condition is that feedback submission is always available. So I'm not sure how that will look. Again, in my head, I kind of see like an app on the bottom or something, maybe the top. There's some icons. One icon's for a profile, one icon's for search, one icon might be for the community. If you're a part of a community, it would show up. And then, another icon for giving feedback or reporting an error. So primary actor, general user. General user interacts with the feedback or error reporting component. So whatever that looks like with the system, they click on a button, they say, hey, insert AI name here, do XYZ, whatever that case might be for your system. They interact with that component. And so now the system, I'm going to add a few rows here. So the system provides the feedback error reporting component view with pre-filled, well, this might be a little bit harder to do. So I think I should probably split this up because feedback and reporting an error are two different things. So they would have two different use cases. So we'll have reports error and gives feedback. So I feel like it would be in the best user experience intentions to make it easy for people. So when someone's using your solution, your system, they don't necessarily know what items are called. They might just say, hey, it's the plant search thingy. Well, plant search thingy is kind of clear in this instance, but maybe it's not when your help desk or whoever's supporting your solution has to figure out what they're trying to talk about. So if someone's giving feedback or an error about a particular module, then they should be, in my opinion, they should somehow be able to provide that as part of the submission. So, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think you can do that with either one. So I'm actually going to undo what I've done. We're going to come back up here. Oh, that went too far. Okay. So that being said, this is probably no longer accurate now that I think about it. So I would say general user has an error to report or idea for improvement while working within any component of the system. They engage with the feedback component. I guess just they engage with the component, whatever that looks like, whether it's clicking on a button, which is how I see it in my head, or whatever, they engage with the feedback component. The system provides the reporting component view. And with this use case behavioral diagram, you don't want a whole bunch of stuff on each line. Think of this as an outline for not only your developers to know, hey, if it does this, then it needs to do X, Y, and Z. And some of these things may be running at the same time, and that's fine. But you need to make sure that each piece is its own line, because this also will allow you to be able to plan out your use case. Your unit tests. So system provides the feedback error reporting component view. System by default provides a filled in field that indicates where the user was last. System provides a checkbox of some sort uh, to indicate if the submission is directly related. Oh, even better. Okay, to make it easier. Sorry, I'm thinking things through here as I'm walking through this with you. So I would still say that provides the component view. However, before we get there, I would say two things happen. Number one, the system provides a message that allows the general user to indicate if they have if the current location, whatever that is that makes sense when you're using it with the user, the current location is what they are providing feedback on or not. And this probably needs to even, I have a feeling based on the class that I'm taking, I'm in the middle of it, but I have a feeling that either A, I would have to have a use case for each one, each one being number one, if it is, yes, this feedback or error is directly related to the page that I'm on, or two, it's not, because if we do it where it is yes and no, right? We'd have two different use cases, but technically the same thing. The only difference is one particular box. So I think what I'm going to do for sake of purpose of time is I'm going to go ahead and write it in a single use case. And then as part of my submission tonight, because this is my homework, as part of my submission tonight, I'm actually going to inquire about that because maybe it's fine to do it the way that I'm about to share with you. Or maybe it's a better way to do it as an individual use case. And I could also be given the response of, whatever your team wants, which could be valid. But I think it probably depends on just how clear you are. In fact, if you have a use case behavioral diagram where you know what is happening before the steps happen, if you can fill out the steps by steps and have everything detailed and clear, and you know what the end conditions are and anything else, if some random developer could see what you have put down and be able to create a solution, then it's probably fine, right? It doesn't have to be some rigid document, right? Regardless, let's go ahead and keep going. So the system provides a message that allows the general user to indicate if the current location is what they are providing feedback on or not. User chooses indication. User indicates one of the options. Chooses an option. So just go choose an option. If general user says yes, and the feedback error report is on a specific component of the system, then the component name or some other method to identify the component with, we'll just say to identify the component, will be included in the report and shown on the view. So now the system provides the feedback error reporting component view, whatever that looks like. Um, I believe that it would show in here what that is. I can't recall at this time, and I don't want to spend more time looking it up. So we're just going to say that yes, it does. So it provides like a component view, which includes fields for um, if it is feedback or an error submission. Oh, I think then we have to ask them yes. Okay. So the system on the screen asks if it is feedback or an error submission. Yeah, now we're getting into different use cases here. So I'm definitely going to make two of these. And the reason for that is because in my head, there are certain fields that are like for feedback, all you need is a text field. What's your feedback? Maybe also a rating scale on like a 1 to 5. But that's for feedback. If it's a bug report, you don't need the scale. You don't need some of that stuff, but you do need specific questions like, hey, give me the steps that you did to have your issue. Maybe even upload a screenshot or something. So as you're going through that, it would be a different way of viewing things, but I want this system to have that feedback or error submission on the same page. So the way that I'm seeing it right now is that whichever one that they choose, the visual part changes. So that's why I think I should go back and kind of basically make a duplicate here, which I know I did before. Oh well. But this one is gives feedback because that will be the easiest. And this one will be reports error. So a lot of the top of these two use cases is going to be the same because you're still following the same process. The only difference in these use cases is if they are choosing it's a feedback or a bug. So I'm going to have a TBD in front of the reporting error because I'm going to do that not on this live. I'm going to go back to gives feedback. So we're focusing on one use case. We're not letting it be ambiguous. We are not going back and forth. We're like, hey, if they do this and they want to get to this endpoint, here are the steps that have to happen to get to that successful endpoint. Okay, so coming back to general user, instead of reports, I would say submits improvement idea / gives feedback. Same conditions, they have, this would be a little bit different. So general user has an idea on how to improve something. And of course, feedback submission is always available. So they has an idea for improvement while working within any component of the system. They engage with the feedback component. System provides a message that allows the general user to indicate if the current location is what they're providing feedback on or not. It could be, or maybe they just have a random idea of, hey, it'd be nice if you had this thing, but it's not related to something else that's in there. So they choose an option, and if they say yes, and if they say yes, and they yes, sorry, if general user says yes, and they and the feedback error report is on a specific component of the system, then the component name or some other method to identify the component will be included in the report and shown in the view. Um, don't like that. Okay. User chooses an option. So if general user says no, the system shall provide the feedback reporting component view, which includes which includes a text field for their feedback. If a general user says yes, then the original component they were interacting with will be included in the report it will be included in the view as an uneditable field, thus part of the report. Okay, don't need those rows. All right, system by default provides a filled-in field that indicates where the user was last. That's basically part of this one. So general user says yes, then I like the way I worded this originally. Then the user, oh no, the system provides a filled-in field that indicates filled in an uneditable field that indicates where the user was last, and also provides insight for developers. Okay. All right. User filled in feedback field, text field. Then submits report. System takes all information from the feedback reporting view and sends a report to an email address to wherever it's supposed to go. Wherever it's supposed to go. We'll just do that for now. It's supposed to go. And then, yes, system closes feedback reporting view and alerts general user that their submission is sent. One thing that I want to do with this is I would love to be able to have it actually automatically integrate with GitHub. So that way, when they make these submissions, it creates an issue inside of GitHub so that number one, it's in GitHub. We can work on the tickets. We meaning me, but it's possible others want to help because it's open source. But number one, they're already a ticket. And number two, If that is done, that link to that issue could link back to their submission. And then for that particular user, they can then see, oh, hey, I'm going to click on that and I can see the status of that submission. So that being said, number one note, when the system is integrated with GitHub to automate creation of tickets from bug reports and feedback, maybe not feedback, maybe just bug reports, um, to be further thought through. When the system is integrated with GitHub to automate creation of tickets from bug reports and feedback, the link to the GitHub issue will be included in the unique user's profile. Okay. Now where should I do the submission is sent? And user closes notification. So ending condition is that feedback submission sent to wherever it is supposed to go. Initially, an email. And user user is notified of their submission. Any conditions and brought back to their most recent screen, or I guess maybe component. Okay, so I believe this is probably where I would stop for this one. Number one, because I have been at this for a while. Number two is this is homework, and so I also will be requesting feedback from my professor and my the students that I'm with in this class. But I also have others that are similar in nature, and I can use for that class as well. So that's what I wanted to share today: is how to build out a use case behavioral diagram, and just to let you know that if you're interested in learning more about this and how you can be the bridge for your own team from user requests to software deliverables, then as I mentioned earlier, I am opening up my monthly mentorship program. So if this is something of interest, please reach out and we can talk about if that is something that is in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish with your career. So I'm going to look. I see that there is a chat message. Where's Dyson? Oh, he's actually, hi, baby. Come here. You want to say hi? Oh, it's my little buddy. Oh, that's my little buddy. That's Dyson. Say hi, buddy. So there aren't any questions in the chat with about technical stuff. So me and my little man are gonna hop off and enjoy the rest of our evening while Mama sits here and does some more schoolwork so she can get her Cornell certification for systems design. All right. So there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful and prosperous rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one.